Come on in, you guys. It's day number 132 of my 365-day Jimmy Ice Bath Challenge. 365 days in a row here in the year 2022. I'm putting my body into that there unit that is called the Morozco Forge. It is an ice bath machine. Literally makes its own ice, filtrates the water. It's a pretty cool little device, but you don't have to do that. You could just get into a cold shower, put ice in your bathtub, some way to make yourself cold. Now you might be wondering, why would I do that? Stick around, because this is what I do on these ice bath videos. I teach you principles about this. So go look up Jimmy Ice hashtag pretty much anywhere on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. If you find the hashtag Jimmy Ice, you'll see all my past videos if you want to learn more and watch the first 130 days. But today, you guys, we're here at day 131. Typically I go live with these, but in the month of May I'm taking some time off because I am writing on a brand new book about this very topic of cold therapy called Cold Therapy Clarity, tentatively set to release later this year. So hang with me while I'm away from doing the live videos. But if you want to watch live when I come back in the month of June, I am at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVIN LOWCARBMAN, over on Instagram. We do go live at 5 p.m. Eastern time every single day, and I'm doing this video today for you guys right about that time. So it's time to get into the ice bath. I will be getting in there for 5 minutes. I'm still having trouble with the leakage. You can see where the water's leaking out, so doing the best that I can. I did have to refill the water, but I did it early enough today. Oh, the water, you guys, is 31.5 degrees Fahrenheit. That gonna be chilly on Jimmy's hiney, and I do see at the bottom down there, there's a big sheet of ice that has developed that has not released yet. So I will be sitting on top of ice along with the ice that's on top of the water. All right, so when I get in the water, I wanna address a comment that came in on YouTube yesterday, on my video yesterday. Somebody had a really interesting question, and I thought I would address it when I'm in the ice bath. So let's set you down. Let's set you guys down, and let's get into the water. Doesn't look like there's a lot of ice in there, but there are some pretty good chunks in there of ice. And like I said, there's that big chunk at the bottom. That chunk will probably release tonight, and so I'll have some pretty good ice tomorrow. The problem is, every time I have to refill the water, it melts some of the ice that was in there. So until I get my forge fixed, it's gonna just be sporadic ice. But trust me, 31.5 degrees Fahrenheit, it's still plenty cold. 5 minutes on the clock, you guys. Let's do this thing, and here we go. Oh yeah. It's nice and chilly today. Oh, look at that big old piece of ice down there. Woo! A little windy out here, so you may hear the wind on the microphone. All right, you guys, yeah, 31.5 degrees. I'm feeling it, you guys. It's pretty damn cold. All right, so let me get to the YouTube comments. So yesterday's ice bath video, I posted it, and I almost immediately got a comment from someone that said, aren't you worried being by yourself that you might pass out in the ice bath? What would you do if you passed out in the cold? It's an interesting question, and I'm less worried about passing out in an ice bath. I would be more concerned about passing out in my sauna, because a sauna, when you get overheated, you can pass out, and if you pass out in a sauna, that's potentially dangerous, especially if you're by yourself. But an ice bath, there is no danger of passing out. So let's just get that clear. You won't pass out in an ice bath. Now, mainstream people would say, oh, you risk hypothermia, which would be a form of passing out, I suppose, where you would get so low in body temperature that your heart rate slows, your breathing slows, and maybe, I guess, you pass out that way. The thing about that is you have to be exposed to cold for a very, very long time before hypothermia kicks in. This whole concept of, oh, you're risking yourself getting in an ice bath, it's nonsense, because I'm getting in, even with 5 minutes. People are like, wow, 5 minutes is a long time. It's really not in the grand scheme of things. Most people are getting in for about a minute or two, they're getting their benefits, and they're getting out. I'm staying in for 5 minutes because a minute or two, I'm barely getting started at a minute or two. So I do 5 minutes to push myself a little longer. I have done as long as 10 minutes, and not at any point have I felt ill. You guys hear me? I'm talking clearly on camera. My voice is very clear. I'm not even like shivering. I don't ever shiver anymore. So I'm fully adapted to the cold. I'm not in any kind of danger of passing out, hypothermia, all these negative things that people fear. The other thing people say is, oh, aren't you worried about inducing a heart attack being in that cold? And I'm like, no, because I've acclimated very well. This is not a huge shock to the body. Is it stimulating me and making me cold? You bet it is, but it's not a danger to my body. All right, let me get in position here to go under the water. It looks like about 20 seconds left. So I'm gonna go under the water. I'll be right back. I literally look forward to that scream every day. Everybody, when I was traveling recently, and I did the ice showers that I did, where I basically got in cold water in the showers and then rubbed ice on me. A few people were like, we missed the woo at the end. Yes, I missed it too. Just wouldn't have been the same wooing without going completely underwater with my head. Something exhilarating about that experience that makes the woo warranted. It's almost like after doing that very hard thing of putting my body in 31.5 degrees Fahrenheit and then sticking my head below the water for 15 seconds, coming up out of the water, how can I not roar a little bit at what a badass thing I just did? So when I do that, it's like me saying, arr, 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 arr. And that's okay. But back to the question that was presented, which, by the way, if you're that YouTuber or you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, thank you for the question. It was a very interesting question. And it goes back to the notion of what people think about cold. I don't think the fear of passing out should be even remotely on the list. Again, infrared sauna? Yeah. Steam sauna? Yeah. Those are things that are going to overheat you, and overheating can definitely make you pass out. I just don't understand the mechanism of how you would pass out in an ice bath. It's got to be the hypothermia. It's got to be you shock your system or something, and thus you pass out. I guess if you had a heart attack in there, you could pass out from the heart. I'm trying to think how that would happen. But I'm not fearful of any of that. Number one, because I've done cold therapy for a little while. This is not my first rodeo doing cold therapy. I have been putting my body purposely into cold water for the past 3 years. And then in the Morosco Forge, I've had it since late November, early December. And then every day in 2022, been getting in 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is not brand new to me. If it was brand new to me and I'd never done any cold before, and suddenly I was getting into 32 degrees, maybe a remote chance that there would be concern. But even then, passing out is not one of the big concerns. Maybe overwhelming my body, maybe arrhythmia with the heart, hypothermia. I mean, you would have to stay in the cold an ungodly amount of time to get hypothermia. I think a lot of the negativity towards cold therapy is thinking worst case scenario of the very cold for the very long time. And you're only in there a very finite amount of time. I know 5 minutes is a long time, but that's Jimmy. As I posted in a reel earlier today from an earlier ice bath video, you don't need to try to mimic what I do. I'm doing what I'm doing because it's the appropriate challenge for me for the advanced level that I'm at with my cold therapy and cold tolerance. You could probably do just fine setting a goal of 1 to 2 minutes in the most uncomfortable cold that you can still do. So it needs to feel uncomfortable, but it needs to still feel doable. Now, my philosophy is very similar to fasting. So people want to do an extended fast and they're like, I want to do 48 hours or 72 hours of fast. And I'm like, that's great. But why are you going to stop at the very time when you finally get acclimated, when you finally get to the part where fasting becomes easy? The first 48 to 72 hours are some of the hardest times of being on a fast. And I want to talk about cold therapy in the same way. The hardest part is first getting in. The hardest part is that minute, maybe all the way to 2 minutes, where you're trying to calm your breath and calm your mind down using your breath. And if you don't calm yourself down, you can't get the great effects of this because you're worked up too much. But once you calm down, you kind of want to enjoy it. You guys see the transformation that happens in me when I first walk into that ice bath. I'm cold. It's overwhelming me. I'm having to calm myself down to the point of breathing. I can hardly talk at that point. But what happens around the 1.5 to 2 minute mark? I start to calm down. I start to feel better. And I'm able to talk clearly. You guys don't hear my voice quiver. I'm able to talk very normally in there. Why? Because I was able to calm down all the everything in the head, and you enjoy it. Now, do you need to do 5 minutes? No. I like to push myself, and I think as you get better at cold therapy, you should be trying to push yourself to know your limits. Look, I've done that with fasting too. I used to do, a week fast. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then at one point I said, I want to see what it's like to try to push for 21 days. And the first time I ever tried 21 days, I made it 17 and a half before I had to quit. That's pretty good, considering the longest I'd gone before that was 7. And then my next longest was 17 and a half. I have since done 3 21-day fasts, and I've been able to do it because I allowed myself to get acclimated to it. and look at the ice baths in the same way. I'm able to get into that 31.5 degrees Fahrenheit water today, easily do the 5 minutes. Could I have gone longer than 5 minutes? You bet I could have, probably. But 5 minutes is the protocol for now. Later in the summer, I will likely try to do 15 minutes because I've already done 10 minutes once. And the next challenge will be 15 minutes. I'm hoping by the end of the year, and I'm not going to push it if it doesn't happen, but by the end of the year, I would love to be in a 32 degree Fahrenheit temperature ice bath for 30 minutes. That would be my goal. Now, obviously, I'm going to lift my hands out of the water like I already do. My numbness in my fingers has gotten better since I've been lifting my hands. I leave them in the water for 2 to 3 minutes, but then there's no reason for them to stay in the water after that. That's a modification that I've made based on how I've responded in the cold, but the rest of my body stays submerged the whole time. And then, of course, I dunk my head at the end. So, yeah, slowly going to work my way to that goal of trying to do 30 minutes. Now, today, could I do 30 minutes? Hell no. No. But I think I could push past 10. We're going to find out very soon if I can get to 15. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you again to the YouTube commenter who asked me if I was concerned living by myself. If I was going to pass out, what would I do? I'm not worried about it. It's not a concern of mine. It's just not. And it doesn't need to be a concern because it's really not something that's going to be high on your list. All right, guys, day number 131 in the books. And if you came in late, or you're not coming in late because you're watching this on the replay, but if you skipped ahead and you missed the ice bath, there's the ice bath that I use. Again, that's the Morozko Forge. They're a really great company. I've been using them for the ice bath. I paid for this unit myself. They're not a sponsor or anything of mine. I just think they make a fabulous product. It's obviously a premium product to be able to get into an ice bath on a whim at any given moment. I can get into freezing temperature water pretty much any time of the year, all year long. I'm looking forward to getting it fixed. I think they said they're sending a repair person on Tuesday to come fix all the components that are acting up right now. And I'm looking forward to, in the summer, when it gets really hot outside, I want to see how it holds the ice when it's like 95 to 100 degrees here in South Carolina. That's going to be interesting. It's going to feel great. If it's 95 to 100 degrees outside, it's going to feel great in there to be able to do an ice bath. But thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or even on Instagram, go follow me over on Instagram. Would love to have you start following me over there at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Go and subscribe. And when I come back to live videos, starting again in the month of June, you'll be able to see all these videos live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So far so good on the book writing. It's a little bit of a trog at times during writing a book, so I'm in a bit of slump. I've got some personal life stuff happening with my family that I will tell you about soon, but it's not great. And it's like lots of angles, lots of things happening all at the same time, and I'm trying to process it. So thankfully I have the ice bath to help me calm the mood, settle my mind, and I'm recentered again despite all the stuff that's happening. So you'll know in due course. I'll tell you very soon what's going on. All right, guys, let me pop off of here for now. Thank you again for watching, and I'll be back again tomorrow. Bye, guys.